Hey there, I'm Amy with Fellow Roofing, the home of the Roofer Chick. We've never made a video like this before, but we wanted to make something for somebody who might be new into sales, roofing sales, of how you go about even selling a roof. So today I got called out to this property, and they called me because I'm very good friends with one of her very good friends, and we also did her neighbor's roof. So we have that rapport right off the bat. I have not met her before. When I knock on the door, you know, a big thing, I stand, especially with COVID, it used to be 6 foot back. I now go 15 feet back to give people plenty of room. Wear a mask if that's what's required. I'm kind of a chameleon on the mask thing, but that's a whole nother subject. Anyway, so I asked how old the roof is. She told me that she had a general contractor out here that said that they thought that her roof looked pretty good, but then one of those door-to-door salesmen came around, knocked on her door, and wanted to look at her roof, and it made her uncomfortable. And so he booked an appointment, and she made sure that she wasn't here when he came, and he flew a drone over her house, and she said that, yeah, it did look like she had some damage. And so she wanted to call somebody reputable that she felt like she could trust. And so that's when her friend said, well, call Amy. So I came out. She says her roof is about 20 years old, and it's a 30-year shingle. She told me that her insurance carrier is Liberty Mutual, which is nice for me to know because some insurance carriers are easier to work with than others, and so it's nice to know who it is before I get on the roof. So now I asked her if I could film, and she said that was okay, so got her permission for that. And now I'm gonna grab my ladder, and actually I'm gonna put on my magic shoes called Cougar Paws first, and then I'm gonna grab my ladder and get up on the roof and take a look around, see what I see. Real quick, a thing you should do is pick your ladder placement carefully. This house has gutters, and you never want to go up on a gutter because you'll damage it, or even if you don't damage it, sometimes you'll get accused of damaging it, especially if they're about ready to fall off anyway. So I'm going to go up on the peak, actually, rather than go up on the gutter. I'm on a concrete driveway, which today it's super dry out, but if it had rained, I might not want to do that because I've actually had my ladder slip when there's a lot of algae on the driveway. So just be careful and think through what you're doing. Yeah, there's hail damage. Okay, it's not usually this obvious, but this time it is. Just luck of the draw. You can be able to zoom in, but this here is an obvious hit. You could tell it's kind of old, especially that one, because you can see the fiberglass, which means that the UV rays have had the time to break down the tar and show the actual fiberglass that is the mat for the shingle. But other ones don't look that old. She's got a variety of ages. Here you can still see the tar. So it's a lot. She's missing a lot of grit, and you can definitely see the hips. It's definitely worth calling the insurance company over. Another thing you want to look at is if it's on every face. Obviously some faces are going to have more than others, but if you can find it on every face, you have a better case. And you also want to look for collateral damage, which I'll show you in a bit. I'm not around any metal right now, but also she's got, it looks like raccoon damage. Raccoons, especially in the winter, they can sense the heat. I mean, I'm not an animal specialist, but they sense the heat inside the attic and weak points in the roof, and they start digging to try and get inside to have their babies where it's warm, especially when it's cold out. So okay, so where we started was the front elevation, and when you talk about elevations, it's when you're on the street and you're looking at the house. So the front elevation is the front, and then the right elevation is to the right, the left elevation is to the left, and the rear is obviously in the back of the house. So we started on the front, and it obviously has hail damage. Now I'm up here on the ridge, and I'm looking at the rear elevation, and not so much. I mean, there's some, but if the whole house looked like the rear elevation, it probably wouldn't be a claim. So but when you have it on one elevation, it's enough to work with to get everything started. When you're looking for collateral damage, a lot of that is when the hail has hit metal. I should have chalk up here, I don't. But these are old style turtle vents, and they were made of a lot sturdier metal than what they're made of now, and so they don't always show collateral damage because they were made out of good stuff. And if I had chalk, which I don't, but you can take it and smear it over, I can actually feel that there's dents in there, and so if I had chalk it would show it. So you always want to carry some chalk, unlike me today. So here I'm checking again for collateral damage. Again, this metal is also really good metal that they made this out of, and so you'd want to chalk. I can feel it with my finger. There's some here that I don't feel any down here. So if this is dented, then the insurance company will pay to replace it as well, and if it's not, they won't. Okay, the first time you're on a roof, you want to take lots and lots of pictures. It'll save you in the end. Like, they'll say your crew broke this. No, it was already broken. Or insurance says there's only 7 pipes, and you're like, no, there's 8. So it comes in handy for a lot of reasons. Homeowners like to see before and afters as well. We just started using the company cam program. It's amazing. I fought it for a long time, but we got it last year, and it automatically talks to our CRM, and it also automatically talks to, we use GAF Project for bidding, and it's so cool. The pictures don't go on your camera roll, which is nice for me because I use mine for both personal and business, and I end up with all these pictures of roofs and none of my daughter, and so that's nice that it keeps that clean. It also has functions on there where you can draw on it, so you can do it with freehand with your finger like you can on an iPhone, but there's also like arrows and text messages, and so a lot of times if I don't have pen and paper, I can just write dimensions right on there. Anyway, great program, and I'm taking a lot of pics now. So then you get into measuring the roof, and it's the 21st century now. I used to hand measure them all the time. I did bring my tape measure up here with me, but I'm not going to measure it. This one I'm pretty sure that insurance is going to cover it, and so I will let insurance either measure it, or if you want to be super prepared, I can pull up an aerial measurement of it beforehand and give it to the insurance adjuster, which makes them happy because then they don't have to pay for it themselves. So that's kind of a nice trick to get the adjuster on your side. And by the way, always be nice to adjusters. It goes south really bad when you try and argue with them, and there's just no point. You never win. So as far as programs that you can use to measure the roof, there's Eagle View, which is what we used to always use, and now poor Eagle View has a lot of competitors. GAF makes a project called Hover, or GAF 360, where you take pictures all the way around the perimeter and they generate a report. There's roofer.com, which you can actually get free measurements off of. It's a little more labor intensive where you have to draw the lines. And by the way, roofer.com, there's no E in roofer, it's just R-O-O-F-R. What else do I use? There's another one I'm forgetting that I use a lot. Oh, GAF Quick Measure is amazing. They don't have it in every market, but that's my personal favorite. We are GAF Master Elite Contractor, so yeah. So I love GAF a lot. And all of those programs feed into their bidding software called GAF Project, and that's what we use for bidding. Anyway, last things on the roof, what I do, even though I don't measure it, I do count all my pack jacks and see what size they are, because with lead boots, you're gonna need to have them fitted. So I go ahead and write down, I got 1 3-inch, 1 2-inch, and 4 1.5 inch. I count my turtle back vents, which I'm not going to go back with, but I'll want to know how many there are so I know how much OSB to order to close them off. I also want to notate that I have a chimney. I used to measure the chimney and order a cricket from a metal fab shop, but now we have a guy that does them in-house, so I don't have to do that anymore, which is pretty amazing. So just making notes about the roof so that when it comes time to actually make the material order to replace it, I know what's here and what isn't here. Another place to check for collateral damage from hail is just checking the gutters, and these have dents in them as well, and again, chalk would be great. And then if they have damage, then the insurance will also pay to replace the gutters. So basically anything that has collateral damage, they're going to pay to replace. Another good place to check is screens, because they're damaged really easily. So you walk around the perimeter and look at the screens on the house, and downspouts ding really, really easily. So in summary, the roof does have hail damage, so I'm going to advise the homeowner to go ahead and call their insurance, and I'm going to volunteer to come out here and meet with her adjuster and walk the roof with them and represent her. and I looked at everything. I got my count of the pipes. I got lots and lots of pictures, and we're ready to rock and roll and go forward. Pro tip, when you're done with your roofing bid, go get you some Chick-fil-A.